Good morning and welcome back to Morning Express. We're glad you're watching. Now, I told you my co-host, Michael Gitonga, is away. He's at the Capital Club, where this morning our fastest growing newspaper, the Nairobian, is launching a column called The Defender. And in it, it will be identifying systematic issues in public service delivery to Wanjiko. That what are those sticky areas that need to be addressed is what you'll be seeing canvassed here. And I want to cross over to Mike to give us an update of what's going on, who's present at this particular event. Michael, good morning.
And is wondering why his shipment has not come. So basically,
all right, I understand Michael is not talking, so let's listen to the speeches.
Right. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that. We say the Nairobian Defender, the voice for the voiceless. Without wasting time, I would like to invite, we call him the CEO, the editor for the Nairobian, to be giving us the product journey. Mr. CEO, where are you? Charles Otieno. He's not in the house? Okay, I will move forward. I would like to invite on the stage our CEO for Standard Group Media. Oh, okay. We have someone to take his place.
Good morning, everyone. I think the CEO is indisposed. His mother isn't well, but I know he'll be joining us shortly. My name is Ted Malanda. I am his deputy. So I'm the deputy CEO of Nairobian. Now, about 4 months ago, we had a meeting with a bunch of journalists who wanted to see how we look like. The guys who run the Nairobian. And they were shocked. They thought we were young. We've got wild hair. They found a bunch of middle-aged men and women. Now, we tell stories. We're not journalists. We tell stories about Kenyans, about our people, about their lives. And in this last 1 year, Kenyans have begun to trust us. They feel we can tell their stories without fear. So this Defender is taking that storytelling a notch higher. On a very small scale, on a very small scale, we'll write about a policeman who is taking bribes, and the police actually call and say, give us the details, and they fix it. We'll write about a place where the roads are flooded, or the sewer is spilling, and the next day they call and say, can you give us that road? So we're taking this thing now a notch higher. We're going national, and we are saying the media is for the people. We exist for you. We'll tell your stories. We will defend you. So it's an exciting journey. We began selling 12,000 copies, and now we are high up. I won't say the figures, but we're doing really well. And we're hoping that in the next 2 or 3 years, Africa will be talking about us. And we will be the platform where a Kenyan in Mandera, a Kenyan in Busia, a Kenyan in Malaba who has issues with government, with human rights, can come to us and we will tell that story. Kindly walk this journey with us. Asante sana.
Thank you very much. And I'm sure we would all want to hear from the real CEO. Mr. Charles Otieno.
Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, I'm late. I had some issues I had to sort from the hospital front. Otherwise, welcome. We appreciate your coming. We are looking forward for this exciting journey. Let me take this opportunity to welcome all the invited guests who have shown the interest and who have come to be with us here this morning. Also, I appreciate my colleagues and especially our CEO. Unajua tuko wawili, eh? Mr. Sam Sholei, asante sana, and our able team at the Standard Group. It has been an exciting journey. Since Sam Sholei joined the Standard Group, he tasked me to work on a new product called, we didn't have a name at that time, so we decided we call this product the Nairobian. And I must tell you that it has been the most exciting product we've ever launched. And in the media space, we were looking at something which will actually resonate with the public, something for the people, and where people can read their own stories. This is a social paper. We are actually moving to the second step, which is social justice. Social justice and equity. That means that we are going to look seriously at issues which individuals and Kenyans in public, in general, are looking forward. We look forward to sort their issues and their problems. So what is the Nairobian? The Nairobian is a Mwananchi paper. It is a paper which is tailored on the psychographics of the community. We do not use, marketers usually use the living standard measure. I do not like living standard measure. I like the psychographics of life. That is, a person in Kibera would like to as well associate with someone in Karen. So that is basically in a nutshell what we are looking to in that paper. So it is a paper which encompasses life. It's a paper which is more of lifestyle, but also tells political stories. I can see Madam Cabinet Secretary, Amina Mohammed, karibu sana. I think I walked in and Doreen here confused me to come and sit, and I didn't know who is in attendance. But apart from that, now it is what my colleague Ted Malanda said. By the way, that is not his real name. His real name is Edward Indakwa. So he calls himself Ted, so his ID does not read the same. This new venture we are going to dive into, it is exciting, as he says. It is for the public. It is for the people. A newspaper must actually talk to the power. A newspaper must talk to the people. A newspaper must represent the masses. And that is what we want to do. If you have a problem, it becomes our problem. If you have an issue, it becomes our issue. We will walk the walk and talk the talk. We will move and we'll open the doors. And we'll make sure that the public has been given the right, what they deserve, especially their dues. And if you have issues on land, issues of security issues, that we will make sure that we sort it for the public. That is our duty as a newspaper. That is our duty as a standard group. So we are looking forward to moving into that direction. And the Nairobian Defender is basically a new issue, a new forum to defend the public. And we are excited to defend this public as a newspaper and as a group. Asanteni sana.
Asante sana. Now I'd like to invite on the stage the CEO of CEOs, the one and only, Mr. Sam Shole. Karib sana.
Problem is, normally my height is a bit challenged, so I try to adjust the microphone before I speak. But ladies and gentlemen, our chief guests, my sister, Ambassador Amina Mohammed, my brother, Dr. Otiende Amolo, our Ombudsman, distinguished guests, staff at Standard Group, the team at the Nairobian. I want to thank all of you for coming today. As you heard, my job is very easy. I have got all sorts of CEOs hanging around me, including my brother, Charles Otieno. And the journey of the Nairobian is a journey that is not very long. The journey of the Standard is a very long journey. It started about 114 years ago by that guy Jivanji, who donated Jivanji Gardens to Nairobians. And as our marketing lady has said, the standard, or at that time it was called the African Standard first, then it was called the East African Standard later on. So it started in Mombasa, and its role was to look out after the interests of the workers, actually, the red workers, the Africans and the Indians who worked on the Kenya-Uganda railway throughout the railway actually throughout East Africa. And that's how we came to be. We continue our journey of changing lives, of fighting for public interest. That is what we stand for as a media house. We want to continue to champion public interest. A few weeks ago, we launched the KTN News, 24-hour news channel, the first in East Africa. And in doing this, we are looking at for public interest. We want to tell the stories of Kenyans across Kenya. We want to tell the stories of East Africans across East Africa. And the whole dream about East Africans, the East African story has been an in and out story for as long as East Africa has been independent. But I don't think there has been a voice that has brought these peoples together. With the Nairobian, we want to do a different story. There are many, many Kenyans and many people across this country who suffer all sorts of injustice. There are, of course, institutions that are supposed to deal with these problems. Institutions in the judiciary, institutions in public administrations, institutions at the police. But our institutions are not perfect, and we are an evolving country. We are transforming, we are changing, and we will get there with service. But we believe that with the Nairobian Defender, we can take it a notch higher. The stories of Kenyans that retire and die waiting for their benefits, the stories of the miseries of the families, the miseries that the families go through after the breadwinners have gone, having not received their right dues. People, women, old women who are fighting for their land rights for years through the courts, or people have been snatched by the neighbor and they have nobody to go to. Or, as you said, Mr. Ombudsman is here, and I hope that you can expand the capacity of your office to deal with some of these challenges that Kenyans are facing. We will help you with the Nairobian in our own little way. We will help you, and we will help, and we will tell those stories when we help. We will also tell your stories when you help Kenyans solve their problems. And Ambassador Amina, the job of government is very huge, and government is not able to do everything, and government is not necessarily perfect in executing its functions. So we want also to help government do its role, so that as we tell these little stories, government can also formulate policies that talks about how long, for instance, does a military man who has been retired honorably have to wait for his pension? Because sometimes I'm rude, so I use bad ones sometimes. Because some bad human being somewhere has decided that they want to sit on this money, 3 million shillings that doesn't belong to him, but they're happy to sit on it. Of course, that's a criminal. That is a shaitani. Okay? Now, so we want to deal with those shaitanis. They are there all over, all around. They're probably trying to extract a pound of flesh, a little pound of flesh from this. But why else are they doing this? But they are there. They are littered in our country space. You saw the story of the guy who was trying the lead factory that maimed and killed hundreds and thousands of kids and hundreds of kids and families within our own borders. And we have institutions of government that are supposed to deal with those things. So in telling the stories that we will tell, and in following them to the end, We hope that we can get the other institutions of this country to then work. So hopefully NEMA has done something about what's going on is it Owino Uhuru? I hope Madam Cabinet Secretary, somebody in government is check that. And let's make sure that as we do all these things, we have capacity. Even within the Standard Group, we're a business institution. We work for profit, but we make these investments on behalf of the people. So when Charles says, when CEO comes to the other CEO and says, I want 2 extra people to help me to follow these cases, I will make that investment because I'm making that investment for Kenya. So I'm asking all of us that there is a lot of, we can make our country better. We can make the place that we live in a better place to live in by ensuring that we solve the problems of the people. Let's create happy lives. But to create happy lives, we have to solve those problems that take our energies down. Because with problems, people cannot be productive. With problems, you cannot build. And negative energy takes away. So I hope this launch today begins a journey that we will also cascade with our other products. We hope that with the Defender, we work with it very closely. The Nairobian would work with our TV station, with our radio stations, and would work with the mainstream paper to make sure we tell and scale up these stories. It's a breakfast, and normally breakfast meetings are supposed to be short. So may I take this opportunity to invite my brother, Dr. Otiende Amolo, to make his remarks. Karibu.
The CS in charge of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Amina Mohammed, the CEO of CEOs, Mr. Sam Shuley, and your team, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I thought we've just had breakfast. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you. My name is Otiende Amolo. I currently serve as the Ombudsman of this republic. I have served so for just all of 3.5 years. A word of caution first to the Nairobian Defender team. As the Ombudsman, I think the in-house Ombudsman, please be knowing that this is a tedious job, thankless, and if you have friends, you will lose them in the meantime. And you will make no new ones. That is the nature of this job. But it is a welcome job, and I think it is a very welcome initiative. As usually happens with these occasions, I have a written speech, but I'd choose not to read it. I'll just talk to you briefly. Then I'll invite Ambassador Amina to speak to you. This is the launch of the Nairobian Defender. I think it is a very apt term. Some of you might not know that in the course of making the Constitution, the real name that was chosen for the Ombudsman was the Public Defender. And that is the apt name. But at some stage, as usually happens with our constitutional journeys, our Constitution went to Nairobi, it went to Bomas and back, it went to Naivasha and back. At one point, it even went to Kilifi. But somewhere in between, the name changed from the Defender to the Ombudsman. But I like the name Defender better, and therefore I think the choice of this name is quite appropriate. I welcome the idea of having the Nairobian Defender as an in-house ombudsman. It's an in-house ombudsman for the paper, for the Standard Group. And in many ways, it is a pioneering in-house ombudsman for the media. Ultimately, when we become of age as a country, we will have in-house ombudsmen for every other media house, and we'll have a media ombudsman that would help us sort out some of those issues without necessarily taking them to court. I know some of you are wondering, why are we saying ombudsman and not ombudsperson? The word ombudsman is not an English word, and therefore you cannot neutralize it. It is a Swedish word which means a public defender who intervenes on behalf of citizens with authorities. And the word man in ombudsman in Swedish actually means person. So you cannot gender neutralize it any further. So if you don't like it, then you go the Nairobian way, you say public defender. Then it is neutral enough. But the idea of having an ombudsman is a welcome idea that has proved appropriate in the last 200 years. First ombudsman was established in Sweden in the year 1809. 200 years later, it has spread to over 170 countries. And in the many of the nations that take governance seriously, they are public sector ombudsmen for every other sector, but they are also private sector ombudsman. The Nairobian defender would fall in the category of the private sector ombudsman in the media industry. The primary role of the ombudsman is to tackle and redress maladministration. Maladministration is instances when public administrators go rogue. I think the more common word is impunity. And so the work of the ombudsman is to eradicate impunity. And studies have shown that wherever there is the office of the ombudsman, you will always find that governance is at a higher level. So that where the concept of ombudsman began in the Scandinavian countries, in terms of ranking, you will always find the rank between 1 to 5 in terms of governance. The more we accept that concept, the more governance will have meaning to the citizens. I therefore think that it is quite appropriate that as a media house, you have thought it necessary to have an in-house ombudsman. And this keeps very well with our constitution. There's a very silent right in our constitution that is not often talked about, the right to good public administration. It is no longer a favor. It is your right to be served properly, timeously, and any decision that is made against you, you are entitled to reasons why it is so made. And you will find that theme throughout the Constitution. And where you are dissatisfied, there is a right to what we call administrative review. And this is where we come in as the office of the Ombudsman. If a decision is made that you will not be issued with a passport or an ID, or your benefits will not be paid to you within the time that is prescribed, then you'd come to us and we would intervene. Only too often, sometimes we miss the ideals of the Constitution. We know that the Constitution has created various offices, many offices. And we know that some of those offices have then come with, with desires of power. And we sometimes have all these debates. So who's the more powerful? Is it the senator? Is it the governor? Is it the member of the National Assembly? It is the cabinet secretary. At the county level, is it the MCA? Is it the county secretary? And there are endless squabbles. Those are instances of missing the ideals in the Constitution. Our Constitution makes only one person powerful. That person, collectively, is the people of Kenya. And that is why Article 1 of the Constitution says sovereign power belongs to the people. All of us are merely exercising delegated powers. So if we understood that, then we would not need to debate who's the more powerful. We would just need to go back to the Constitution and understand that the Constitution gives power to the people, and the principle of the Constitution is to decongest power. Anybody who feels powerful and is suffocating under power, then that is a case to decongest them, to remove some of that power and distribute it. And once it's distributed, we will then ultimately understand the principle of servanthood. The Constitution requires that as public officers must be servants, not bosses. We are given the role to serve, not to rule. If you are serving, you are called a servant. There's a good reason why we are called public servants and not public CEOs. It is because we must serve. Ultimately, the ultimate work of an ombudsman in our context is to reduce impunity in public office. And in that respect, reducing impunity in public office will enhance service delivery so that the instances that have been spoken to here will not arise. If you have an efficient public service delivery system, you will not need to wait for 9 months to get an identity card. You will not need to wait 2 years to get benefits that you had worked on for 40 years, which is your money anyway. You will not need to wait 9.5 months for a work permit. Indeed, you will not need to wait 2 weeks to just get a temporary pass to travel to Kampala. Ultimately, it is all this together that we do. Examples have been given of the soldier who was terminated. You have seen the stories of Owino Uhuru. Those are what we deal with every day. Sometimes people ask me, what are some of the outstanding and major issues you deal with? Our work as the Ombudsman is not to deal with the major issues. Our work is to deal with the minor issues that bother ordinary Kenyans. That you cannot travel because you do not have a passport, which the charter says you'll have in 2 weeks. That you have been employed, you have gone through an interview, you have emerged number 1, and somewhere between Rachuonyo County and Nairobi, you who was number 1 becomes number 7, and somebody who was number 7 becomes number 1 and is employed. We deal routinely with the issues of the widow whose husband dies and was entitled to a pension, but has to wait 6 years because she cannot locate the original identity card of the dead husband. We deal with such routine issues of a soldier who is terminated on no ground at all. And when they are asked, they are told, you know, even the fact of asking is indiscipline in itself. Last year alone, we dealt with 86,000 such cases. We endeavored to resolve 81,000 of them. That is our work. We work well with citizens, we work well with government, and we, as the Office of the Ombudsman, are happy that the government has prioritized service delivery. Unfortunately, in our work, we find that there are still very many public officers, especially senior public officers, who have refused to embrace service delivery. And every year, we identify those who are outstanding in that respect, who've done very well in maintaining impunity. And we name them in our report by name, by position, and we recommend that they are unfit to hold public office. The role of the media in this respect is key. I can think of at least 4. First of all, the media is important as a watchdog to hold public officers accountable. When Jichopevu highlights any of those or many of those instances, then the public officers who are mentioned are brought into sharp focus. Then the entities who are tasked with doing what ought to have been done are reminded to do it. And quite often, then you see some action. Sometimes negative, sometimes positive. The negative ones are what we must avoid and deal with. The media, secondly, is a platform for discussion. It provides a very ideal platform for informed discussion. Informed so that even if you are not so informed, in the course of that discussion, you also get to learn a few things and input. I think the media, thirdly, is important for agenda setting. In any country with a free media, a lot of times the agenda of the day is defined by the media. The media can kill an agenda. The media can sustain an agenda. The media can raise an agenda. More importantly, fourth, I think the media is the occasion and trigger for in-depth investigations where perhaps some matters may have been overlooked. It is the role of the media in this respect to raise those matters, especially in terms of investigative journalism. And once they have done, then it is the role of the various bodies charged in a variety of ways. If it is an issue involving any public officer, then we as the Office of the Ombudsman ought to pick it up. If it is an instance of misconduct by the police, my brother Mabonga here, the Independent Police Oversight Authority ought to pick it up. If it is a human rights issue, then the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights ought to pick it up. If it is an equality issue or a gender-related issue, then the Gender and Equality Commission ought to pick it up. And that is how it goes. So the media becomes a welcome trigger for a serious discussion of these matters. I think that moving forward, we will need to not just establish in-house ombudsmen such as the Nairobian Defender. We might perhaps want to examine the possibility of a media ombudsman. You will want to consider whether the Media Council is the media ombudsman already in that respect or not. I believe that we as the Office of the Ombudsman will work very well with the Nairobian Defender because we converge on only one point. Our point of convergence is eradication of impunity in public office. The Nairobian Defender, as the Deputy CEO said, will tell the story of impunity. We, as the Office of the Ombudsman, will pick that story and endeavor to redress it so that the story will have been told but not left there. A solution and remedy will have been found. In that way, we will all work collectively towards a country that is of less impunity than we already have. Just 2 days ago, I was reading the Afrobarometer survey, which suggested that as a country, we are doing very well in maintaining impunity. We do not want such distinctions. We want distinctions such as we have recently earned of being on top of the world in athletics. Let us collectively tell this story. Let us have the courage to speak. I urge you, like I keep urging many of us, that sometimes also as Kenyans we have perfected the art of lamenting, not complaining. There are now formal mechanisms for complaining. Kindly do not lament in conferences, in marketplaces, just in social media. Please complain and let that complaint be taken and acted on. And if it is not acted on, then complain some more. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me now to introduce my friend with whom we've worked over the years, my learned friend, who, when we were making the Constitution, assisted us greatly as a committee of experts. She was then the permanent secretary in the Ministry of Justice, and who, at around the time of my appointment as the Ombudsman, was also still serving in that ministry, but who fortunately now serving us in another capacity. And quite honestly, I think has served us very well in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Ambassador Dr. Amina Mohammed to speak to you. Thank you very much.
Good morning. I just told my friend, Dr. Otiende Amolo, that nobody should speak after he has spoken, because then it becomes a really difficult task. But let me begin by thanking another really dear friend of mine, Sam Sholei. When everybody started getting introduced as CEO, I got worried. I thought maybe I'd been invited to this breakfast to say goodbye to you. Yeah, but I just want to say thank you really very, very much for for inviting me. Let me also acknowledge the other CEOs that are here and say that I just want to begin by congratulating you very much, Sam and your entire team. You've devoted time, you've devoted energy, and you've devoted resources. And you've done this to continuously improve and perfect our democracy. So really, thank you very, very much for that. An open society is anchored on free media. And for those of you who have spent time with me, who have had discussions with me, you'll know that that has always been something that I have cherished, I've encouraged, I've supported, and I think is extremely critical. Much more critical for us now at this stage of our development than it has ever been. By providing information and a platform for the formation and articulation of public opinion, and again, Otenda Amolo has talked to that, the articulation of public opinion, the media has been critical to the democratization process in our beloved country. The Standard Group has been a leader in Kenya's media industry, and in launching a new column in the Nairobian, you're continuing to set the pace in terms of providing information and promoting public interest. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, one of the objects of a newspaper, and I'm going to quote Mahatma Gandhi, is to understand the popular feeling, to give expression to it. Another is to arouse among the people certain desirable sentiments. And the third is to fiercely expose popular defects. This statement by Gandhi aptly summarizes the critical role of the media, especially in the promotion of good governance. It's important to stress that all aspects of good governance are facilitated by a strong and an independent media. It's only when journalists are free to monitor and do so objectively and responsibly, are free to investigate and criticize the public administration's policies and actions that good governance takes hold. And so we salute you for that. Through continuous checks and assessments, the media helps in bringing public concerns and voices into the open. It provides a platform for debate, and it mobilizes the critical body of public opinion needed to generate corrective action. And as you've heard from our Ombudsman, that corrective action is undertaken by his office. You have had, as a Kenyan media, an impressive track record in promoting good governance. But we also know that the journey is not done yet, and there's still much more that can and needs to be done. We have in the recent past, for example, and I think it's about 3 weeks ago, when the judiciary was in Mombasa, that the Chief Justice expressed concern over the surge of corruption in the judiciary. This is a significant pointer to the possibilities of miscarriage of justice, to the detriment of the rule of law and to the detriment of the common citizen. It's encouraging, therefore, that you are launching today a column that will focus on promoting the delivery of justice in our country. Ladies and gentlemen, this is extremely important because the rule of law is fundamental to our democratic prospects and the smooth functioning of our government and our country. Only when it's respected can citizens have confidence in their governance and the democratic process over the long term. But for it to see the light of day, that is the rule of law, we must have also a judiciary that upholds law strictly and that operates honestly, professionally, and transparently. And you'll have to excuse me for talking about the judiciary. As the Ombudsman said, I was the PS in the Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs at one time in my life. And during that time, what really caused me a lot of anguish was especially the widows who came to me and told me that they had cases at that time, I don't think it's true anymore, that were languishing in the law courts for 20 years, 30 years after the death of their husbands. And they'd actually lost hope in ever getting justice done. And I think we've seen a great improvement actually in the work of the judiciary over the last few years, and we actually hope that they'll do better, and we wish them well. We also will stand by and support and encourage them as we do the media. In addressing this challenge, the challenge of having a judiciary that upholds law strictly, that operates honestly, professionally and transparently, it becomes increasingly clear that the media is one of the only sectors of society most able to promote a transparent, highly professional and effective judiciary. And that's why I'm really, really happy about this, about the Defender. Because I think you will be able to bring to light many of the cases, as you've done in the documentary that we were watching. And you do this through fostering investigative journalism, through promoting the openness of the court, legislative and administrative proceedings, and publicizing court rulings. And I think that's going to be actually very critical. It is today a well-accepted fact that where there is no publicity, there is little justice. For publicity has become the soul of justice. And I'll quote somebody else, Jeremy Bentham, an English philosopher, who observed that publicity keeps the judge himself while trying under trial. Regular media reports on proceedings in the judiciary will keep judicial officers on their toes and help expose weaknesses, including corruption, within the justice system. In my view, therefore, ladies and gentlemen, the column we're launching is a timely step in the right direction. In running the column, however, it's necessary to ensure we maintain a healthy relationship between the judiciary and the media based on objectivity, on probity, and on integrity. In conclusion, there is need for the judiciary and media to develop and embrace a policy that ensures regular contacts and dialogue. This will be crucial in averting an adversarial relationship, and also in ensuring that reporting is accurate, that it's prompt, and that it's complete. It's also necessary to maintain adherence to the highest standards of professional journalism in order to ensure accuracy and clarity are maintained when simplifying complex legal language and arguments in reports. In this way, you will be able to avoid misunderstandings, misinterpretations, misrepresentations that may undermine the public confidence in the judiciary and the media. And before I sit down and thank you, let me say this, that I think for many of us who have come from a long, long distance to be here today, just the fact that somebody is there who can listen to you, who can tell your story, who can follow it to the end, who can make sure that it's redressed by our ombudsman, right, is really is very, very, very encouraging. And so I would like to tell you that I'm happy to be here to support this, and that I will continue to support it. And as you all know, I keep my doors open so that whenever there is information to share, I can share it with you as openly and as accurately as I can. But really, I want to thank you very, very, very much for launching this. And I hope I will continue talking about it, as you also, perfect the way that you carry out your work. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for those wonderful remarks. We have heard what the Nairobian Defender stands for. And as we continue, I would now like to bring to light a moment that we've all been waiting for, unveiling of our products. I'd like to invite to the stage our CEO, Mr. Sam Chalet, and our guest of honor. To the stage, please.
Now is the launch of the Nairobian Defender, and we can see we have had quite a number of good guests who are in support of the Nairobian Defender, namely Dr. Amolo Otiende, the CAJ chairman. But what is happening right now is the launch of the Nairobian Defender, and we can see the defender himself coming in, walking in, and we are just about to unveil this particular special edition, which is going to be carried by one of our flagship newspapers, that's the Nairobian, and we can see the CEO there, Sam Sholei, pinning the Ombudsman, and also we can see the Cabinet Secretary, Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Amina Mohammed, who has just finished her speech, and the Nairobian Defender is being launched. This is indeed going to be an ambassador of sorts to the people. And right there we have the Ombudsman, Amolo Otiende, being pinned with a clip of the Nairobian Defender. For those who may have joined us a little later on, this is the launch of the Nairobian Defender, and what the Nairobian Defender is going to do is to be an ombudsman of sorts, to follow up on some of those stories that, or rather some of those incidences where there's been injustice, and give Wanjiku, as it were, another voice, another platform, another opportunity to have her say and follow up with the office of the Ombudsman, which we know has been put in place to ensure that any public officer or any public office that does not administer justice, whether by delay or by malpractice, is followed up. And that's what is being launched right here at Capital Club as we speak. This is going to be running in a column in the Nairobian, which will highlight some of those incompetencies, complaints lodged against public office institutions, state officers, state institutions, ministries, state corporations.
So this is a symbol of what the Nairobian Defender stands for. And as we put this on, it will remind us every day of our responsibilities and our duties to the normal Mwananchi. Thank you very much. You all look very wonderful. Please keep wearing it.
There we have it. The Nairobian Defender.
And I would like to invite on the stage Irene Kimani to give us votes of thanks. Irene, where are you? Irene Kimani? Okay, she's not here. Pauline Kiraithi, please, our HR director. I think everyone will be getting one of these. Makofi kwa Pauline jamani as she comes to the stage.
We are right here at the Capital Club in Nairobi, and that is the launch of the Nairobi Defender, which is a column that's going to be running in the Nairobian. And this is going to be an ombudsman of sorts to the Mwananchi, giving another platform to the Mwananchi, to Wanjiku. As per the Constitution, the power belongs to the people. But there are instances where public offices or state corporations are not doing their job or have been seen not to administer justice, and the Nairobian is creating another platform that is going to give Wanjiku yet another opportunity and another platform where they can have their justice administered. Now, we've had quite a number of guests here. We have the CS for Foreign Affairs, CS Mohammed. We have the Ombudsman, who is also present and is in support of this particular launch that we have here today. This will be running in the Nairobian paper, and and as you have seen, it has already been launched, and will give an opportunity for those who may not have an opportunity or a chance to reach the office or even spread to the Mwananchi and give them that opportunity to speak and have a voice. It is in line with having the fourth estate, the media, as a watchdog of sorts, and ensuring that justice is not just seen but is indeed administered. For instance, we've heard of a case here that the Nairobian defender is already following up on, of a police officer who was injured in the line of duty. He was awarded 3 million shillings, but 10 years on, he still has not, the family has not received the award. And this is even after he had followed it up for 3 years. Unfortunately, he passed away, and the family still has not received any justice. The award was given, but the money has not reached the account. Why are things like this happening? That's what the Nairobian defender is there to do, to be an ombudsman of sorts. So that is the launch, and as we continue and summarize with this, that is exactly what's happening right here live at Capital Club in Nairobi. Back to you, Sophia, in the studio.
All right, thank you, Michael Gitonga. You just witnessed the launch of the defender there at Capital Club, and that is where we wrap up Morning Express this morning. Thank you for watching.